Hey guys, it's Kat from Kat's Kinder Kiddos. I'm here because I actually had someone from my Instagram ask me a question about interviews, and I thought that I would share it with everybody instead of just doing the private messages with her. To give you guys a little bit of a background, I've been at my current site for 3 full school years. Before that, I did a teaching program where I actually had my own classroom for an entire year from start to finish, which I think is a great experience, and everyone should be able to do their teaching experience that way. And when I was getting ready to finish up that program, it was February, and I actually had a school district from Southern California fly up to Illinois to meet with some people from this program, and that's where I discovered this school district. And I was actually very fortunate that they asked me to come down and visit their school district, and I did, and I loved it. And I signed a probationary contract with them in February for the following school year. Now, what happened after that was I realized that as much as I loved that school district, it was going to be a very long commute from where my husband's new job was going to be because he switched jobs. So what that meant for me was deciding if I was going to continue doing interviews or if I was just going to deal with the long commute. And so what I chose to do was put my application back out there and start looking for some other school districts that might be interested. The first school district that I found was actually in the same exact location that my husband's new job was going to be. And I put in my application, and for them we went through several processes. So first we went through a screening process, and they looked at all my letters of recommendation. They called my former teachers, they called my former bosses. Then they had my my master teacher, fill out a bunch of applications and ask questions about me. And so I passed that round. Next, what happened was I flew down to meet with that school district, and we did a, I call it speed dating, but I know that's not the technical term. So basically, they had administration from middle school, elementary school, and high school meet, and you had 2 minutes to answer their one question. And then once you finished their question, you got up and moved to the next table, and that administrator asked you another question. And so I believe there was a total of 10 questions asked, and then you literally shake hands with the people in the room and you left. And so then it took about 2 weeks to figure out who had passed that round of interviews, and luckily I passed that round of interviews. So then I was put into a pool of candidates that were available for any of the schools that were looking for teachers. After that happened, then administrators who were looking for teachers to fill positions could call people on that list. So then I was called on that list for the school that I'm currently working at. So they called and asked if I could come in for an interview for that specific position. And I, again, got on a plane and flew out to California and met with them the next day. And it was about 2 hours after that interview, I got a phone call saying that I had gotten the position, and this was, I believe, the first week in June, and I was starting in August for them. I know that a lot of school districts don't do it that way. That was just what my journey was, and I'm very lucky that since then I've been able to sit on interview panels for my school for the past 2 years. So I wanted to give you guys one major tip that I always look for when I'm with my staff and we're interviewing new candidates. And Pocketful of Primary has, I believe her name is Michelle. I love her. I think we're very similar. Her TPT Store is exactly what I envision mine to be. I'm very into black and whites and simple patterns, and she does amazing work. I'll put her link in the description box so you guys can check her out. She had a video that she just posted, I believe it was pretty recent, if not one of her most recent videos, about interviews, and hers was about phone interviews and Skype interviews. I have personally never done those types. I have just experienced in-person interviews. And one thing that I really think is important is something that she touched on a little bit but didn't go in depth. So I wanted to go in depth for you guys and tell you what my number 1 tip is for teachers that are interviewing. My number 1 biggest, most important tip for interviews, especially for a teacher who doesn't have as much background experience as some of the stronger candidates, is to research the school district that you want to be a part of. So if I got a call from Bumble School District, we'll call it, and they asked me to come in, what I would do is instantly go on to the internet. Do they have an Instagram? Do they have a Twitter? Do they have a website that has different teachers posted? Can you search those teachers' websites? I know for my school, we do have a Twitter. We do have an Instagram. We have our district website. And then if you go in our different grade levels and you click the teacher's name, it takes them to their personal website that some teachers have, some people don't. But that's just how my school district does it. And I know when I was interviewing for some other school districts, each school district has something that you can find on the internet. Research your school district. I can't tell you how many interviews I've sat in on for people that want to come and join our district and want to join our school. And we start talking about innovation, or we start talking about technology or science or something, and they have no idea what we're talking about. They don't know what programs we use, even though they're posted, and they don't really know what our school's vision is. So lots of schools have some type of mission statement or vision statement listed right on their homepage of their website. Learn it, memorize it, and ask them about it. If I could lump this into researching, I would say ask a question. Any interview I've ever been a part of, whether I was the candidate or I was on the panel interviewing for the position, we have always ended the interview with, do you have any questions? Do not say no. Do not say you don't have any questions, because that shows me as a person on the interview panel that you didn't do your research and that you don't really want to be a part of our group. I know I'm lucky enough to love my site. I would never, at this moment in my life, I don't want to leave. And I worked really hard to get to that spot. And I showed the people when I was interviewing that I wanted to be a part of it. I knew what their mission statement was. I completely agreed with what their values were. And I showed them that I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to be a teacher that wanted to contribute to that. Make sure you do your research on that school. So when you go onto their Twitter, they'll have different activities that they're listed. So maybe your question is going to be, I noticed when I saw this, so show them that you're doing your research. I noticed on your Twitter you posted about a science summer program that your school is currently involved in. How did those teachers become a part of that? Or maybe your question could be, I saw on Twitter that your school is doing a summer program. If I wanted to be a part of that, how would I do that? Or maybe your question is, I saw on the district website that your district offers free PD during the summer for your teachers in these areas. Is this something that your teachers take advantage of, and how would I be able to take advantage of that? Always be able to show the interview panel that you did your research and that you have questions about it. When interviewers are asking their questions before they ask you if you have any questions, a lot of times they'll even ask you a question like, what interests you about our school district, or what makes you want to be a part of your school district? And if you haven't done your research, you're not really going to be able to answer this question with passion and with feeling. And I know that when I'm sitting on interview panels, sometimes teachers don't have the right answers, and that's okay. That's not really what draws me to a person. What draws me to a person and makes me want to work with them and have them be a part of our campus is their enthusiasm and their passion. So if you're sitting there just making up BS answers to a question because you didn't do your research, it shows me that you don't really care. And I want to see your passion. I want to see that you love the kids. And when you do your research, you're going to be more comfortable in front of those people, and you're going to be able to show us your passion. You're not going to be stumbling over the words, and you're not going to be anxious about what they're going to ask you. So definitely do your research. I know that when we do our interviews, we ask several questions before we give them a chance to ask any questions back. So on our 5th or 6th question, we'll say, do you have any questions for us? And I'm going to be completely honest with you. When a teacher is sitting there in front of the interview panel and she says, no, I don't have any questions, it instantly makes you want to be like, okay, well, they didn't care and they didn't do their research, and do they really want to be a part of this team, and do they want to be a part of our vision and where we're moving our kids towards? So I always always have questions prepared. You might have them written down. You might already have them in your brain. Don't put them on your phone because don't ever pull out technology while you're in an interview. I really think it's important that you speak from your heart. And if you can't speak from your heart, have some paper and some things written out. Don't be one of those people that pulls out a phone in an interview, because again, as I'm sitting on the panel, I'm realizing, oh, they're not really prepared. I love technology and I want to hear about all the technology that you use, but show me that you're prepared. Some sample questions that I would have available to me, maybe written on a piece of paper or memorized, would be things like, what PD does your site offer? Or I noticed in your values and mission statement, you stated that collaboration is really important to you. Percy. Sorry. The neighborhood pool's right next door to our townhouse, so the kids are outside playing and the dog is barking. I lost my train of thought. Some questions that I would have prepared would be things like, in your value and mission statement, you stated that collaboration is really important to you as a school. How do your teachers collaborate with one another, and how can you see me contributing to that? Or it might be, I have experience in this area, maybe using technology to differentiate instruction. I would love to bring it to your site. Can you let me know how technology looks in your school? I'm gonna tell you just a side note, one thing that I think is super important is not to throw out a million buzzwords. I was actually just having this conversation with some people at my site the other day, because we did hire, I think it was 5 new teachers this year. And we were talking about how some teachers, especially the ones that are coming in from college who don't have the experience, they think that it's really important, and they've been trained from their universities to throw out buzzwords. Differentiated learning, preferential seatment, I mean, the list goes on. Don't throw out the buzzwords if you're not able to back it up with information. So yes, you know what differentiated learning is, but instead of just throwing that out, can you say differentiated learning and then give an example of it? So say in my student's classroom, or how I see it in my classroom would be this way. Don't just throw out the buzzword and not elaborate on it, because that just shows me that you were trained on the buzzword and you actually know what it means. Because I have been on an interview where a person was throwing out the word, oh my goodness, what word was she throwing out? I can't remember what it was, but then she went to give an example of it, and her example proved to us that she had no idea what she was talking about. She was just trained to show that word. So I know I was supposed to just give you one tip and I kind of threw it out there, but if I were to wrap it up in one sentence, the biggest tip I could give you for a teacher coming into an interview would be, do your research and make sure you have a question to ask the interview panel that shows them that you did your research and you want to be a part of it. And then my little tip would be, come with passion and show them that you might not have all the perfect answers to an interview question, but you care about those kids and you love them and you love what you do and you want to bring that spirit onto your campus. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off, and I hope that answered your question, the person who Instagrammed me. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I know my lighting is off, but I'm trying to get better, and I will see you guys later. Have a great day.